my phone, no faults of mine. I can't make a call with a roll of dimes. Hell no. Hell no, hell no. Hell no, I'm telling you, it's going so good till we hit a wall. Hell no. Hell no, hell no, I'm telling you, it's going so good till we hit a wall. Hell no. Hell no, hell no. Sink full of bugs, the paint's all peeled. Dickens are slim in Bakersfield. Hell no. Hell no, hell no. Phones are smart, the people are dumb. From the CEO to the corner bum. Hell no. Hell no, hell no. Hell no, I'm telling ya, it's going so good till we hit a wall. Hell no. Hell no, hell no, I'm telling ya, it's going so good till we hit a wall. Hell no. Hell no, hell no. Sun in the lower keys, flooding so bad it's past my knees. Hell no. Hell no, hell no. And it's looking bad for this country boy. I found myself in Illinois. Hell no. Hell no, hell no. Hell no, I'm telling you, it's going so good till we hit a wall. Hell no. Hell no, hell no, I'm telling you, it's going so good till we hit a wall. Hell no. Hell no, hell no.
Greetings there, Earthlings. Tuesday afternoon here. Just a quick rundown of my back. My back is doing very well. I'm still very limited in what I can do, so I'm not getting any of the stuff I want to get done out in the shop done. Everything requires lifting or bending over or whatever. Currently in the shop I have this cute little 72 Honda retro restored or whatever. I got it running for the guy last winter. That was my last winter's project, and came out to be a really nice little bike. He brought back in to get it ready for this summer, and so that's what I'm going to do. I got this episode. I'm looking at doing just some discussion. It ain't going to require me bending over, or lifting, or nothing, but it's stuff that comes up inside the community and outside the community. If you show your bike at all, your Excelsior Henderson, you'll notice trends that happen when the people are around your bike, questions and stuff. And I'm talking like coffee and car like shows or show and shines. Here in Lincoln, Nebraska, on the first Wednesday of the month, the European Bike Club has a open show to European bikes and older Japanese bikes. I sneak mine in there because it's an orphan, and I get some grief because of it. So sometimes I park it outside the show and where all the Harleys are parked, that kind of a thing. That's not what this is about. What this is about is the stuff that owners run into. My last video, I got a comment from a guy that's a collector. He's 66 years old and he's collected for years, and his comment on my video was, why would anybody ever buy one of these bikes? And I didn't take insult to it because I don't care what anybody else thinks of my Excelsior Henderson. I truly adore that bike, and it's been a great bike. But I went to great lengths to explain to him why a guy possibly would. I wasn't trying to convince him into it. I was just trying to get our Excelsior Hendersons a little bit better outlook from his point of view. That's all I was trying to do. I know he'll never buy one, no matter how mad I make him or he makes me. It's just not going to happen. And we weren't mad in conversation. He just stated a blunt fact. All right, so this is going to answer this guy's question, and then on part 2 of this video, I'm going to go into some discussion about values and numbers. And these numbers might come out kind of interesting, and you can adjust them any way you want. This is just a dumb guy in Nebraska making a guess at numbers. All right, why would you buy an Excelsior Henderson? They're a very unique, unknown motorcycle. You can go to a Cars and Coffee. There's a picture of one over there, and then there's another picture of one over here. You can go to a Cars and Coffee, and it's a promise. At least one person's going to come up and take half a dozen pictures of it because they've never seen one before. And that would be at the minimum. At the greater end of the scale, you're going to get surrounded by 10 to 12 people, and this has happened to me, wanting to know what this bike is and what's the history and what's it all about. I have done that, and it's kind of fun. It actually is. And I'm no expert on Excelsior Hendersons by any means, but it's kind of fun explaining the history and what they're about, and a lot of people walk away with a unique idea about it. Another reason you may want to buy an Excelsior Henderson is the ride quality. The quality on the Excelsior Henderson's ride is, well, I've rode Gold Wings, I've rode Nortons, I've rode Hondas. What else have I rode? Harleys, big Harleys, little Sportsters, dressers. And I truly feel the Excelsior Henderson, of all the bikes I've rode, is probably the most comfortable bike I have ever rode. Going down a road, highway stuff. That's why I don't mind touring on it, quote unquote, touring, long travel. I have done 500-mile days on it and have not suffered because of it, other than the first time I did it, I didn't have a windshield, and then it beat me to death. And I was really, really tired that night, but the ride was okay, other than the wind beating me to death. Another thing about them is that they're a timeless retro look to them. The front fender takes a lot of getting used to. I know a guy that still hates the front fender. He loves the bike, but he can't stand the front fender. The Springer is kind of a surprise that really surprises people if they first don't see it, and then they go, oh my God, that thing is huge. The dash is right off of the old Hendersons from the late 20s and early 30s. It's kind of a retro look from that era. Also, the rigid and Springer forks running through the fender is also from that era. And the rear fender is very, in my book, very 40s type of rear fender. The big fat tank is kind of Harley-ish, and I'll admit it. There's a lot of Harley-ish looks about the Excelsior Henderson until you get down and just sit down and start looking at it. The cuts in the tank for the valve covers is a very unique look that, well, it hasn't been seen since back in the 20s on the old Excelsior twins. All right, so there's a timeless retro look, and I tangented off, I'm sorry. And I'm going to say it, and a lot of people don't believe it, but our bikes are just as reliable as any other bike out there right now, being the fact that the community, us in the community, have come up with all the updates to fix all the issues when they came out. My opinion, this is all my opinion. My opinion on when they released the bikes, they hadn't been tested enough, and because of it, there were issues. They ran hot. We fixed that issue. They burn up stators. We fixed that issue. There's a number of issues. They've all been handled and taken care of. Don't worry about parts. We've had extremely good luck on parts. Right now, there's still a ton of parts out there. There's only like 1 or 2 items that are getting a little bit rare. But owners in the community or vendors in the community or even the president, Dan Hanlon, have gone to bat and contacted vendors and had them make another batch for us. Whether stators, for example, or motor mounts, for example. Some of the owners have come up with stuff, vendors have come up with stuff, so parts haven't really been an issue. And I'd like to compare that with Mike DeGrood in California. He's a big Excelsior guy, and he's also a Victory guy. And I think Victory parts are much harder to get than Excelsior Henderson parts, at least in the United States. I was in the communication with a guy in England, and he said Victory parts were all over the place at that time, and that was probably 5 years ago. Okay, so that's the reasons why I would buy one if I didn't know anything about them. I think those are valid. I don't know if they carry much weight, but that's the reason why. All right, values. I'm constantly seeing people buying what they think is a steal and basically getting screwed according to market values. First, you have to determine, why are you buying this bike? Are you buying it to flip it? Is it going to be a static or a collectible? Or are you going to ride it? That's going to determine your minuscule $100 here or there, or $500 there, here or there, on the actual market value of the bike. Another thing is going to be the options the bike has on it, like the bags. The bags are worth around $900 now. If you find a very good, excellent condition set of bags with the ghost brackets, it's going to be around $900. Backrest about $200 to $300. The pad for that backrest $50 to $100. Luggage rack $150. Light bar $300. Crash bar $300. And that's eBay, Craigslist, Facebook market values. If you were to contact our vendors, the prices might be higher or lower. I honestly don't know. And those items, those optional items, are kind of rare, so I don't know that the vendors actually do have any of those. But that stuff is going to add up under the price of the market values that I'm going to give you. Please remember, these are my opinion. Okay. So, you can find a 30,000 mile Excelsior Henderson with updates, 30,000 or less with updates. That bike's going to be worth plus or minus around $7,000. If it's a Deadwood, which seemed to bring more money for silly reasons, they made more Deadwoods than they did the blue ones. Or it's a Jenny, or a Red and Oyster. You know, it could pull more just because of color. If that paint's perfect. If that paint's not perfect, none of that's going to matter. So plus or minus $7,000 with all the updates. And please remember, if somebody's selling you about updates, if you're a do-it-yourselfer and can do this on your own without going through a vendor, you could probably get away with doing all the updates, all of them, for around $2,500 to $3,000. Probably 25 or less, actually. If you go to a vendor, Valhalla Motorworks, ehparts.net, Jamie Jones, Atlanta EH, or Dwayne Judge, those numbers are going to go up substantially. They got to pay for the shop and to get those updates done, so you're going to pay for an hourly. I would say that those updates are going to run you around 5 to 6. That's why the prices on our bikes, with and without, do variate, but they don't variate enough for the price of the updates. As an owner of an Excelsior Henderson, it's just knowledge that you're going to eat the cost of doing all the updates on your bike. If you can buy one already with the updates on it for $6,000 to $7,000, you're coming out ahead. I paid $10.5 for my bike back in 2002, and I put all my updates in it. So that means I've got roughly $13,000 in my bike, and it's got 55,000 miles on it. So I'm going to say I've got $13,000 worth of enjoyment out of it. But if I was to sell it now, like I said earlier, it's only going to be worth $4,000 to $5,000, if that. I would say closer to $4,000. So you got to keep in mind those updates. They are expensive. So if you buy a bike without updates and you don't do them, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So plus or minus $7,000 with all the updates. And please remember, if somebody selling you a bike, and especially dealers will do this all the time, I'm seeing it, they don't even know what the updates are. And they say, oh yeah, all the updates are done. Ask for paperwork to prove it. And somebody like me, I don't keep paperwork, and I'm going to sell my bike, and I'm going to say that all the updates are done, and they are. I don't have any paperwork to prove it. Oh, I might find a few pieces of paper and stuff. But my bike's got 55,000 miles on it, and I know it's not worth more than $4,500 probably. To me. That's all I'd pay for it. Now, somebody that's hungry and wants an Excelsior, and because all of a sudden they became a trendy fad to rebuild or own Excelsior Hendersons, it might be worth a little more, but we won't go that way yet. So 30,000 miles or less with all the updates is around $7,000. Then you tack on your bags, backrest, windshield. Oh, I forgot the windshield. Windshields are high dollar also, huh? Jeepers. What would the price on those be? About $500, I would guess. I don't know. I don't own one with a windshield. I got a WindVest windshield on mine. I don't have a factory one. Minus updates, so 30,000 mile or less, 30,000 mile Excelsior Henderson, no updates on it, is going to be worth 5 to 6, maybe even less. It's going to depend on what kind of condition it is. If it's excellent shape, but it's got 30,000 or less on it, it could go up as high as 5,000 or 6,000 miles. Static virgin. In other words, this bike is never been molested. It's never been opened up. It doesn't have any updates on it, and it has 0 miles on it. Is going to be worth around $8,000 or $9,000. A crate bike, on the other hand, which when the doors first closed, it was not uncommon to see crate bikes going for 15,000+. I believe I even remember one went for 20,000. Well, it was up for sale for 20. I don't know what they got for it. A crate bike now is going to be 10,000 or less. And us owners that ride our bikes that don't have static displays or anything like that, we probably wouldn't touch it. A bike 20 years old sitting in a crate is going to have a lot of fuel issues. Tires, obviously. Hopefully the vinyl seats haven't started cracking or anything like that. Most of us owners that ride would not buy a crate bike to ride. We would buy a crate bike as a collectible, and it would stay in the crate. Now, as a collectible, our bikes are not going up in value. As you notice, a crate bike is worth $10,000, and like I said, 15 years ago, it was worth $15,000. So our values on our bikes are not going up, even though they only made 1,956 of our bikes. That's a rough number. You can come up or down to 1 or 2 on that. Depends who you talk to. That's all the bikes were made for 2 years, was 1,956. They are not collectibles as of yet. So that takes me back to this guy that made the comment, why would a guy buy an Excelsior Henderson and this guy has a bike collection? He's not going to buy it because there's no value in it. It has nothing to do with the story or owners or the community or the social side of it or anything like that. He's not going to buy it for that. He wants to buy it because he wants to flip it to make some money. My opinion. Okay, a static bike, which means it's sitting around a display in somebody's living room or in the garage hanging from the rafters with updates, is going to be worth about $9,000. That means it's ready to rock and roll and ride. And if they did the updates, I would guess that they tend to do the right thing to the fuel tank and a few other items for storing it for long periods of time, even though it's not written. So there you go. The prices are much lower than I think some people shopping for motorcycles and they're shopping for Super X Excelsior Hendersons are expecting. I think they see it and they get stars in their eyes, and then they go to the dealer. It's got one on the showroom floor. It's got 30,000 miles on it, and the guy was using 30-weight dinosaur oil in it and no updates. and he wants $15,000 for it, and the guy with stars in his eyes goes there and buys it, has it 6 months, and then wants to know why it smokes or it's locked up or it doesn't run. Be wary of dealers. Beware of people you don't know that you're buying the bike from. Beware of no paperwork. Those are all important issues. If you're going to spend, I mean, to me, anything over $200 is a lot of money. And I'm going to be kind of cautious about what I purchase or don't purchase and who I'm talking to. Pay attention. You have to be. This is kind of a unique market. All right. On those two first subjects, why would you buy one, and then the valuations on the market on the bikes. If you have questions or comments, please, even that guy that commented on the last video, I'll more than welcome his stuff, his comments again, or anybody else wants to comment. Plus or minus, pro. Okay, so I come up with these numbers in my head all the time, and these numbers can get moved around a lot. And if you want to follow along, write down on a piece of paper what I'm talking about here. Total bikes produced was 1,956, one or two up or down. A couple of the bikes were made in the employees' garages after the doors were closed at the factory. Interesting note. Active owners, and this would be club and people that are not in the club, but they are active in the community. I would say roughly 250 people. Of these active owners, not club and club members, many of them own more than one bike. I would say the ones that own more than one bike at one time had at least 3, and some are probably running up to 6. I had 3 for a long time. Now I'm down to 1. And there's eccentric collectors out there. I know of 3. I'm not going to name them. Two of them, I don't know their names anyway. One's got 25, another one's got over 30, and another one's got 15. So add those numbers in there. And then add these numbers. In the past 20 years, how many of our Excelsior Hendersons have been in wrecks? I'm not talking about blown up motors. I'm talking about wrecks where the bike was totaled and then put into a junkyard. My guess over the past 20 years is going to be about 200. That sounded reasonable. I think anymore, it could be more, but it could also be less. But I have no way to figure that out. So if you take the active members and owners, and then we got to add the stalkers and posers. I'm sorry, I'm calling them stalkers and posers, but that's the owners out there that follow along on Facebook or the forum site, or even attend some of our events that aren't members of anything, and they never speak up. They're, for whatever reasons, they're in the background, and they like their bike and they just want to keep it running, but they do show up time to time. I would suspect there's many more that don't even come to the events, but they're constantly reading up on what we do and everything. And so the best title I can come up with is stalkers and posers. I don't mean that derogatory. I understand where you're coming from. I'm kind of a socialite type of guy. I like meeting people, so that's why I belong to the club and I'm so involved with the community. I'm guessing of the stalkers and posers, there's about 200 bikes out there. Maybe even as much as 300. That number being the fact that, like I said before, there's owners out there that own more than one bike. So I added another 100. Okay, so if you add all those numbers up, all right, so with my guesstimates of known Excelsior Hendersons out there, the total comes up to about 1,350. So you could add, subtract from my numbers all you want if you've got proof or whatever makes sense in your head. This makes sense in my head. That means there's roughly 600 bikes out there, possible 600 bikes out there that do not know about the community, that do not know that the bike can be fixed or that there's parts out there, that are sitting in a garage in the very back with a blanket sitting over it, or sitting in somebody's yard under a brush pile. Those are the owners that I hope our community can contact at one time or another and get them to either sell their bike or get them to fix it. 650 or roughly 600 Excelsior Hendersons out there with unknown history is kind of scary. Think about it. I mean, those bikes have a very good chance of just kind of going down the shitter and never back. Never be rode again. And we got all these enthusiastic club members that'll be more than happy to take it off their hands. And I think there's people out there that think the Excelsior Hendersons are junk, and I think there's people out there that think that they're really worth $1 million, dealerships, you know, and they want their money back or trying to get their money back, especially if they were an Excelsior Henderson dealer. They got a lot of money tied up in there, but it should have all been wrote off on taxes by this time. It's all interesting and it's all discussable, and it's kind of fun to talk about it, especially if it's just fun to talk about interesting thought train.
Looking for sun in the lower keys, flooding so bad it's past my knees. Hell no, hell no, hell no. And it's looking bad for this country, boy. I found myself in Illinois. Hell no, hell no, hell no. Hell no, I'm telling you, it's going so good till we hit a wall. Hell no, hell no, hell no, I'm telling you, it's going so good till we hit a wall. Hell no.